and welcome to the pit lane at the Circuit de la Sarthe, where we have just finished the centenary edition of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So it's time to bring you our race debrief, and I am joined with Anthony Davidson. And let's talk. Actually, let me ask you something. We've been talking about this race for months, building up the hype, building up the excitement. Do you think it lived up to it in the end?
Absolutely. In more ways than one, this race lived up to the expectations. It surpassed expectations. It really did. We had everything we could have wished for. Competition from big manufacturers in all categories, fighting it out tooth and nail the whole way through. We had the weather, we had the fans. It was full of emotion. It was spectacular.
Well, how about we start off by talking about our winners? Because today, Le Mans is red for the first time in 58 years. Ferrari were on the top step. How did they do it, Ant?
They basically had outright pace. You know, they qualified first and second on merit. They locked out the front row and they set the fastest lap in the race. They were the ones to beat on pure speed and they executed the race perfectly. It makes it sound easy, but when you've got the speed on your side and you have a fluster-free regime in the pit stops and reliability, they knew what they were doing. It was like they'd been here 1,000 times before. You know, not year one of their program.
Made it look easy. Well, not easy, but with ease.
Yeah, they were. For a long time in the race, it looked like it was probably going to go their way if reliability or some other moment came their way that was out of their hands.
Well, how about we also mention second place, Toyota. They came in as arguably the favourites, if not the definite favourites, with their experience and their knowledge of this race and this event. But what meant that they couldn't keep up with Ferrari today?
I think, I would have put money on the fact Toyota would probably have walked away with victory here, even if they didn't have outright speed. Because we've seen all the way through the World Endurance Championship so far, their execution is exemplary. They're operationally, before coming here, I kept saying time and time again, they're the best. They've been doing this the longest. This is their 13th Le Mans since returning to the top flight sports car category. And of course, they were the ones with the target on their back. They lead the World Championship. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't like they did a bad job. It's just that Ferrari matched them in every single possible way in this event, and it was remarkable.
And then let's take a little look further down the grid at all of our other hypercars, because from my perspective, I feel like every single one of them had something this weekend they could be proud of and take away as a positive from the 24 Hours of Le Mans.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Corvette and Porsche, to start with those two, they surprised me with the speed. They can walk away with this one really happy with the pace of their car. Cadillac get their first podium ever here at Le Mans in the hypercar category. It's an incredible achievement. The drivers are happy with that one as well. Especially
alongside such a tough weekend for the other two cars to then be able to put it on the podium with their third.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, poor old car number 3, that had a real disastrous event, but still walked away with a P4. Incredible. Peugeot can be proud of their reliability. I never expected both of their cars to finish this race, even one of their cars to get through the whole 24 hours like they did. Yes, they had some problems, but we've seen them retire from 6-hour races this year.
It's exciting to see that progress.
It really was huge progress. And again, the speed was there. They led this race at some point. So did Cadillac, so did Porsche. All of the big teams had a chance to lead this race. And I think that's what I take away from this. Just there were lots of positives for all teams out there.
And how about we start moving on to our other prototype categories, LMP2 and into EUROPOL, because they won the category today. The small little Polish team with a lot of heart took home the win. How on earth did they do it when going up against the likes of WRT and teams with much bigger budgets?
You know what? That was probably the surprise of the race. Into EUROPOL, this plucky little Polish team, like you say, they haven't won a WEC race before.
And then ta-da!
They come to Le Mans, the centenary race, and they win. I mean, incredible stuff from them. Fabio Scherer drove his socks off. He really drove well.
Especially given...
Yeah, he had was it a broken foot? Broken ankle?
They
or
still haven't had a chance to x-ray it, so we're not sure, but his foot got run over by the Corvette. Like,
hopping into the car and then
guy.
going out there and blitzing lap times. It was honestly, it was incredible stuff, like you say, and well deserved, really well deserved. And then, to rub it in even further, they beat WRT with Poland's Robert Kubica. You couldn't have written it any better.
So close for him once again, bless him.
At least he got to hear the Polish national anthem on the podium, but
it's going to sting a bit.
yeah, maybe not, a little bit bittersweet.
Yeah. And lastly, let's talk a little bit about LMGTE Am, because Corvette Racing, they broke the curse of an LMGTE Am car never going from pole to the win. Of course it was going to be Ben Keating who was going to break it, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, true. I didn't know that stat existed, and as I always say, you don't want to go using up all your luck in qualifying, particularly when traffic comes into play, like it often does here.
Especially around here, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very different procedure compared to the what we're used to in WEC in terms of the qualifying splitting into categories. That's not the case here. It's one qualifying session, and then if you get through that into Hyperpole, the top 8, you get Hyperpole. But you're always mixed with your categories. So you might not get through to Hyperpole because you just get in traffic, and that is luck or bad luck. And so, yeah, they got in to Hyperpole. They got Hyperpole, Ben Keating's amazing lap. And then it didn't all go their way.
It was a sensational comeback.
They had some trauma with the suspension, put the car into the pits, into the garage for a short time, a brief moment, went a lap down or maybe even more, and somehow, without others faltering so much, just they worked their way up methodically through the field and walked away with victory. It's quite incredible how they managed to do that.
Well, given at one point, I think the Iron Dames were arguably leading the way for most of the race and felt like the key contenders. Where did Corvette come from to suddenly take over all of these other teams?
They had the car to do it, a bit like the Ferrari story, but even more so. They had, as soon as the car hit the circuit for the first time, they had the speed, the drivers were comfortable, they had the balance where they wanted it to be. And with that confidence, they could produce lap times, whether on new tyres, old tyres, in the greasy conditions or perfect conditions. The car just gave the drivers that feeling of security, and the lap times were there the whole way through. I mean, they would have absolutely walked this race without that suspension problem.
They
might have even lapped the field. That's the supremacy of that Corvette number 33 car crew and car itself. It was a brilliant effort by the whole team.
I'm going to give you a tricky one. I was going to say driver of the day, but it feels a bit weird to do driver of the day when we're going for 2 days, but I think you get my gist.
Driver of the day. The driver
one
of the day.
One standout driver for you.
If Pierre Guidi hadn't have made that small error when the car in front of him spun in the chicane and he spun almost in sympathy, it would have been a no-brainer. He was absolutely flying, and
very impressive in the wet.
Pivotal points where he just annihilated the field. I think somebody else that was absolutely solid and drove this race the way it should be driven, and it was his first time here and won them the race as well, was Antonio Giovinazzi. He was solid in every way, true pro drive, hard to pick any faults in what he did. He was fast when he needed to be, controlled when he needed to be, kept it on the island, kept it pointing in the right direction, at least as far as I saw. Maybe he'll prove me wrong later on, but yeah, I would say him or James Collado, I think they were sensational. I think, yeah, just seeing as he's Italian, let's give it to Antonio Giovinazzi.
One final thing. I do want to pay homage to our NASCAR. I know it's not doing the rest of the season, but what fun was it to have the Garage 56 entry here this weekend?
I loved it. You know what? It was a great advert for NASCAR. I guess that's the reason they wanted to run in the Garage 56 here, just to our right-hand side. And I think such a pro outfit. That's the thing that I take away from this race. It was a brilliant advert for NASCAR.
Yeah.
The car can go round corners. For all you Europeans watching, NASCAR cars do go around corners now. And they have paddle shift. I didn't know that before coming here. So yeah, seeing a whole field of those Gen 7 cars out there,
going to be mega.
Racing hammer and tom to be really something special. And, it was very American, and everybody... The noise, the spectacle in the pit stops, the drivers flinging themselves into the car without any doors opening, with the old school jacks. It was
brilliant.
But, we do it a disservice. It was excellent having another series here within our series we know and love. And I think everybody just embraced it. And they embraced Le Mans as well, which is even better.
That's all we can ask for, really, isn't it? Thank you so much for joining me, Anne. I think we need to let you go and have some sleep after your 12-hour commentary stint. It's insane, and thank you so much for doing it for us.
No problem.
Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you in a few weeks' time in Monza for our race preview.